Hello, welcome. I can see a few people are starting to join us. We're going to give everybody just a minute to do that, to get logged in. Hello, welcome on behalf of San Diego Law Library. Thank you so much for signing up for this session today. We're very excited to have two of our favorite people speaking, Emily Hirsekorn from USD Law School and Kristine Custodio Suero from Butterfield Schechter. Am I saying the name of your law firm right? And the San Diego Paralegal Association. And we've had these ladies before at the library speaking about job hunting in the legal community, and they always do such a great job. We're always thrilled to have them back. This is a new format for this session, so I'm kind of excited that we're able to do this today. Couple of things before we get started, just as housekeeping. You will see a survey at the end of today's session, and we'd really appreciate it if you would just take a minute or two to do this quick online survey. That helps give us feedback about our programming, and it gives us feedback for the speakers as well. And then in addition to that, this is an interactive session today. So please, if you have questions for Emily or Kristine, feel free to put them in the Q&A. We want you to use the Q&A box. You'll see that there at the bottom of your screen. That's where questions go. You'll see a chat feature, but that's for the panelists only. So just wanted to let you know about that. And we'll try to get to as many of those toward the end of the session as possible. I think that'll about do it for the housekeeping. Let me introduce our speakers today. If you haven't heard these ladies speak before, we have Emily Hirsekorn, JD from USD Law School. She's the Assistant Director of Alumni Advising there. She obtained her law degree from McGeorge Law School and has practice experience in both the private and public sectors that she brings to this conversation. That helps her with her job assisting with helping alumni there at USD get jobs in the legal field. And Kristine Custodio Suero is a senior paralegal and business development director at Butterfield Schechter here in San Diego. And she's also been a leader in the local paralegal association, and I believe in a statewide paralegal association as well. And she's a very dynamic speaker who's passionate about the subject of job hunting in the legal community and how you present yourself and how to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the two of you and exit stage left here.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And I think before we get started, we have a quick poll. Is that right, Kristine?
We do. We have 3 quick questions we would love for all of you to answer. So check out the screen and kindly answer those questions. All right, the first question you should see are you currently working in the legal profession? So about 55% no, 45% yes. Great, and how about our next question, poll question number 2? So we're asking, if you're currently working in the legal profession, what role are you working in? So it looks like many of you are all seeking, the majority of you are seeking a position. There's about 15% attorneys, 23% paralegals, and 8% administrative clerical. Good info. And our last question. How much legal experience do you have? I don't have any legal experience. 1 to 5 years, 6 to 10 years, 11 to 15 years, or 16 plus years. I'm almost at that last category, Emily. Getting close.
Well, and yeah, I think technically I'm about 11. Gosh, do the math.
I lost a year there in the pandemic. I kind of get fuzzy. I think I'm almost 16.
We all lost a year, yeah.
All right. Wow, 38% don't have any legal experience. Well, this certainly helps us, doesn't it, Emily? I'm going to let you kind of take the floor now.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you, Kristine, and thank you for putting that poll together. Always important for us to know who is in the room, especially when we really have no idea because we can't see you. So we're going to do our best today to make this engaging and interactive. Please participate. And I'm sure Kristine is too, the biggest fan of questions, huge fan of questions. I always say, even if it is a stupid question, you can ask stupid questions. I ask silly questions all the time. That's a better word than stupid. Okay, so who are we? What are we doing here? I'm going to give you a little bit more information about me. I think working with law students and a former law student myself, I recognize that people in the legal field are analytical and they want to know what's going on and they want to know who's giving them advice to build trust and rapport and all of that stuff that you're going to be doing with your clients in the legal field. For those of you who are not yet there, and those of you who are, of course, you're already doing that, you know that stuff. I have been at USD Law since 2014, so quite some time now. I work with students and recent grads and lawyers who have been out for quite some time. So the spectrum of folks who come through. I also have my own private coaching business, Hirsekorn Coaching. I'm going to throw in the chat my website. If you're curious, you can pop over there, hirsekorncoaching.com. I do free discovery calls. So if you want to learn more, let's set up a time to talk. I work exclusively with folks in the legal field. So it's a really fun way to do a deeper dive. Advising, we tend to do one-off sessions. Coaching is multiple sessions so we can do a deeper dive into who are you, what do you really want, which is so important. Kristine's going to tell you a little bit more about the work she does in a minute too in terms of coaching. How can you get what you want? When you're exploring a lot of different possibilities in life, it can be overwhelming, analysis paralysis, right? Where we get stuck and it's hard to move forward. And also in this field, we work a lot. I know I'm not practicing as an attorney, but I love my job. I love to work. It feels good. I've worked hard for this career. So work-life integration is also something I coach quite a bit on, and experiencing more joy in life. So I wanted to pop that out there as an extra resource for you beyond what we're giving you today. And I would love to encourage you, let's continue to have conversations, okay? Because there's so much stuff out there and we'll be able to answer some of your questions towards the end, but it doesn't stop here. Okay, let's get into it. So what I'm going to do is share my screen. And I believe that you received this resource before the program. If you didn't, let us know. We can get it to you. You can always email me. I'll send it to you. So I've got a few boxes here. This is a little bit more of the technical stuff. So we're going to get this out of the way, and then I'm going to hand it over to Kristine. But first, we're going to talk about marketing yourself when you're looking for work, finding the jobs, finding openings, networking, that ever so important piece, and then etiquette. That's like icing on the cake, and covering our bases just to make sure we're doing things in a very professional way, because the legal field, as you know, is extremely professional and has a lot of expectations that we want to make sure we're abiding by or meeting. Okay, so first things first, marketing yourself. LinkedIn, I always say lawyers love LinkedIn. There's some alliteration for you. LinkedIn is where it's at. Okay, so we at USD used to have an alumni directory. We don't even have it anymore. It's so hard to maintain the darn thing, where you're checking in with alumni all the time, right? Over and over, you have a database of people who opt in to being contacted for networking purposes. We realized, oh my gosh, everyone is just on LinkedIn now and they're using it. They're keeping it up to date. Kristine, I don't know if you remember years ago when you first got on LinkedIn, we had a profile, but no one used it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we were there, but didn't know what to do with it. So nowadays, people are finding other folks to network with on LinkedIn. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the networking box when we get there. People are putting themselves out there and establishing themselves as a thought leader in the industry. And I love this because even early in your career, you can do that. You can become important. you can become a leader. I think of a leader as anybody who's influencing others, which is everyone. So we all have leadership potential. It's up to you to put yourself out there. So I highly advocate having an updated profile on LinkedIn and using it. You can also put your resume up there. And I know I had recent grads this past year, at least one, tell me that they got their job, their entry-level job in the legal field from someone finding their resume on LinkedIn. So someone found that person because they put themselves out there. Okay, so LinkedIn profile. Number 2, your resume and cover letter. We're always talking about this, right? The age-old application materials. What's important is it needs to be targeted. So employers are getting a lot of applications, especially entry level, because a lot of folks are looking. They need to be targeted. So make sure that you're explaining not only who you are, but why you want this particular job. It can even be brief in the first paragraph. We can talk a little bit more about that another time in detail, but really quickly, you've got to tell them why that employer, why that job, make the connection. Okay, I always say it's like math in high school. Spell your work, you get credit for being explicit. Don't leave it up to the people reviewing your materials to think too hard. We really want to be explicit and put everything out there and get those materials reviewed. Your school probably has a career services office that you can send them to. So get those materials reviewed by someone there, or at least just another set of eyes, okay? And then we want to talk about researching these employers. You should know something particular to each employer. It's going in your cover letter, and then that also becomes part of your narrative when you're interviewing. So you want to show, I do my work, I'm proactive, I know who you are, and I know that I make a strong candidate, that this job is an excellent fit for me. Okay, so let's talk about finding those jobs. This is where people spend a lot of their time, in this green box right here. I've got to find those jobs. So number 1, yes, look at the job boards. I know San Diego Law School, we have University of San Diego, we have a very active job board, especially for entry levels. I always tell people, if an employer is wanting to hire an entry level lawyer or a law clerk, post-bar law clerk, they're going to post on our job board, especially alumni. So do make sure you're looking at your job board. And there are other job boards, okay? So you want to be looking on Indeed. They kind of pull from every corner of the internet. Most people know about that one. Idealist.org. That's some public interest opportunities. PSJD.org. I love that one. Public Service JD. You have both government and public interest opportunities there. San Diego County Bar Association. Look at your local bar associations. So lots of different job boards. I'm sure Kristine can share what job boards are popping up for you in terms of paralegal work.
Yeah, absolutely. The San Diego Paralegal Association has an employment bank, but I have to say, Emily, you are so spot on when it comes to networking. I know over the past 16 years that I've been in this industry, that's how many people have found their jobs. You know, not just through job, postings on, obviously that is definitely somewhere we want to look and, be familiar with, but I cannot discount that networking is really the best bet for you. Really explore how you can expand your network.
I think the last statistic I saw was 75 to 80% of jobs are not posted. People don't realize that. Now, I think another challenge is during school, we present a lot of jobs to you, right? Your school brings those to you. I know USD, we have a formal recruiting process, which of course, Cal Western and Thomas Jefferson do as well. So people get used to that, right? Like, when are the jobs coming to me? And so sometimes we don't emphasize networking as much early on, but when you get out in the real world, 100%. I think sometimes too, one of the reasons I don't work with so many alumni, they don't need me as much because of networking. They're getting their next jobs through networking. So once you get in the field, folks, it definitely works like that. Thank you so much for highlighting that. Let's get there now. What am I talking about? We keep saying networking. And oh my gosh, throughout the past year, everyone's like, Well, I don't know what to do now because there aren't any events. How am I supposed to network? I love going into a room and schmoozing with people. So here's the secret. And nothing has changed regarding my advice on networking with the pandemic. When I say networking, I don't mean go to large events and try to break into circles. If that's your thing, do it when that's an option. Absolutely. But if it's not, it's okay. What I mean is one-on-one informational interviews. So if you go to the big event, that's the goal anyways. Exchange cards with someone and follow up afterwards. So that's the good news. In this virtual remote environment, you can go to LinkedIn, you can find people who are doing what you want to do. You can reach out to them, tell them very briefly who you are and what you're interested in, why you're interested in their information, where you found their information, maybe you saw it on LinkedIn, and request that informational interview. I was wondering if you might be willing to speak with me briefly about your career path. Thank you very much for your time.
Emily, while we're on the topic of LinkedIn,
yes, please.
I'm just going to ask the question that's been posted in the Q&A. I'll paraphrase it a little bit.
Perfect.
And it has to do with privacy concerns, online privacy concerns. Do you have any guidance or recommendation for folks attending today about how to kind of balance that privacy? And also because we are in a virtual landscape now, you know, this is not going away, folks. This remote thing, this virtual thing is here to stay.
Yeah, so I think it depends on what the concern is. I definitely have seen a trend with respect to resumes, moving away from full addresses, for example. So I have seen, and I'm perfectly okay with it as a law career advisor with people just putting their geographic region, for example. So if that's a concern, you don't want your full mailing address on LinkedIn, perfectly fine. You can just put that on the resume and put that up there. If for some reason you don't want the resume up there, like your phone number, anything like that, that's fine. I think most people don't have a resume on LinkedIn. I just know that a lot of people really enjoy, they want to maximize the potential and opportunity for finding some work when they're looking. And that's something that they have done, but by no means do you need to. And then beyond that, I don't think there's much else that you're putting out there that you wouldn't want to be put out there if you do want to be contacted and be a little bit more active in your job search and becoming more public in the community. But I think that that's the right word, balance. That's definitely personal. For example, I put a lot out there in the universe, and that's just how it works with my business. That's part of who I am, and my story is pretty public. But if that's not something that really works for you, that's okay. You may just have to find other ways to reach out to folks. Maybe you're contacting recruiters directly, which is certainly fine. Just know there isn't a lot of work recruiters can do for entry-level folks, but it doesn't hurt. I always tell people that about recruiters. That's another common question that comes up, Kristine. Should I contact a recruiter? I say, if you have the time, it's a matter of how much time do you have? Great question. I'm going to keep them coming. So just to finish up here on networking, reach out to folks, try to get those one-on-ones. Afterwards, of course, send them a thank you email. And what I like to suggest to avoid being too forward, instead of sending them the resume right in the first communication, wait, hold off, get to know them. You want them to know you a little bit, to like you, and then they want to help you. So in your thank you email, attach your resume and say something to the effect of, I'm attaching my resume for you to keep on file, just in case something comes up and you think I might be a great fit. Okay, that's kind of a nice passive way to do it, but you want to make sure they have it and then maintain that contact over time. Some folks are great about initiating and then have trouble maintaining. So every few months, try checking in. This is a great time if you're graduating from your program. You can let them know it's March. Let's say you graduate in May. You let them know, I graduated. I'm so excited. Maybe I'm going into bar studies or going into something else for the summer. I'll see you on the other side. And then you get back in touch a few months down the road, and then after the bar and so forth. So think about those natural times during the year when it makes sense to reach out and stay in touch with these folks, with the intention that, or the understanding that networking is literally to create a network of people who will support you over time. okay? It is not, I'm gonna go out and get a job, because that's setting yourself up, your expectations really high and possibly setting yourself up for failure. And then it doesn't feel good when it doesn't work that way. So it could, there's a possibility, but really think about it as creating a network of supporters for you and then tapping into it over time, staying in touch, just like you will once you're happily employed and want to maintain a network of other individuals who work in the legal community. And then let's just talk a little bit about etiquette, and then I'm going to hand it over to Kristine. So this is something interesting. I used to be really staunch about handwritten thank you notes. I'm finally coming to terms with the fact that that's outdated. It kills me. Oh, it kills me. I took a lot of pride in my handwritten thank you notes. Kristine, I don't know if you have thoughts on that before I say any more.
You know, and I am with you too, because I'm so old school like that. There's sometimes like when I get something, a piece of mail from someone who wrote me a card, it just, there's something about it, right? But I get it. I get, at least we should do like some sort of thank you email.
Yes.
Maybe not a text, but maybe a thank you email.
Yeah, avoid texting. Some people are cool with it, but just avoid it because we don't know. And don't make assumptions. Yeah, it's so funny I'm saying this. I actually have some cards, note cards right here. I was handwriting some client thank you cards. So here's the difference between this and what I'm telling you. This, there's no timing issue. My clients can get a thank you for working with me today, tomorrow, 2 months from now. It doesn't really matter, okay? My concern, if you're interviewing for a job, is that snail mail might take a couple days, a few days at the longest. And what if those other candidates email thank yous right after, and then they make the decision the next day about who they're going to hire? That's the only reason I'm saying this. So if you're old school like us and you want to do it, do both. It's a little weird, but just make sure to send them something by email. Following up. We have so many people who write us emails in my office. We share them all the time. We just always are smiling over these. You were right. I called the employer who I was wondering where they went. I called them and they said, oh yeah, sorry, we just haven't gotten on it. And they made me an offer. This really happens. So we suggest if you send out an application out into the ether, you never know what's going on with it, follow up the next week or a few days later to make sure they received it. And then after you interview, if you forget to ask what are next steps at the end of the interview, that's ideal. But regardless, after that, about a week later, follow up and try to do it by phone. Some people are working pretty exclusively by email, but I do feel like law offices are still answering their phones, right, Kristine?
Oh yeah, we're still here answering the phones.
Yes, that's what I thought. So definitely follow up, be prompt, proofread your professional correspondence. And this is the last thing I'm going to say. Treat people with respect. And part of that is everyone with respect. Part of that is if you accept a position, let everyone else know that you've accepted, and close out, have some closure with your job search. I have a lot of times where folks are telling me, oh, I accepted this, but then I got this offer, and you're trying to go back and forth. Be easy on yourself too. We have, one of my clients calls it choice explosion. And then you go into analysis paralysis. So whatever you want to call it, go easy on yourself. When you get a good job and you accept it, be done. Let the other employers know and sit in it with confidence and joy. I think a lot of times that's something that I find quite interesting with our folks, where we're so excited about a lot of opportunities that we have a hard time just being excited about the one that we end up accepting. And we feel like we need to keep going, keep looking. That's all I'm going to say on that. I saw another question pop up here. Let's see. I thought of same considerations in sending follow-up email or handwritten. Maria Shriver said she never hired anyone who didn't follow up with a handwritten thank you note. I decided sending one was fine, just like in a lot, email documents are always followed up with hard copy. Exactly. Yeah, so kind of doing both. Acceptance is not final until a contract is signed. Yeah, this is interesting. Technically, just pulling out some law school knowledge here, technically you can have a legally binding agreement that's oral, just to be clear. But yeah, it's hard. So here's the thing at the end of the day. if you have a particular situation where you've accepted something and some other fabulous opportunity comes up right after, talk to an advisor. Okay, there are always some sort of exceptions to these situations. And at the end of the day, we want you to be able to do what's best for you, while also trying to maintain integrity to the best of your ability. So there's always exceptional situations. Talk to an advisor. You don't have to make these difficult decisions alone. That's a great point, I think, to end on. Kristine, if you have any other thoughts there, they're welcome.
I think this is a great segue actually into some of the discussion points that I'm going to have. And I'm loving that we get to speak together, Emily. Both Emily and I are affiliated with the University of San Diego. I'm actually a teacher there. So I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen and let me know when, can you see that, Emily? Let me see if I can try that one more time. All right, now are we there? All right, perfect. And again, Emily, please do chime in whenever you have those words of wisdom, the nuggets that you have provided to us. I am taking notes as we are, as you were speaking. How funny, because I'm also presenting. But the ones that really stood out to me was your why. I loved that. Also, the informational interview. Never underestimate the power of the informational interview. Another one that I wrote down here is networking. We should reframe this into relationship building. That is what that is. It's the power of the connection. It is the power of the connection. So networking, because some people, are introverts, they're shy, they have a hard time now. And also we're virtual right now. We're not face-to-face with folks. So it's a little bit different. What I recommend to my students is when we are networking virtually, leverage that chat box. If there is an ability for you to chat with other participants, drop in your LinkedIn, have people connect with you there. There are ways that we can be innovative and creative to get around some of these issues that we are going through right now. And that's actually one of the topics that we're going to talk about today in this job hunting in the legal arena. So let me give you a little bit about my background. So I am a senior paralegal business development director for a small ERISA law firm in San Diego up here in Scripps Ranch. I am actually in my law firm right now. So yes, we are open and the doors are open and I'm answering the phones. So I'm also an adjunct instructor with the University of San Diego School of Law paralegal program. I'm the introduction to law teacher. I like to joke with my students too, because their program director likes to put me, bookend me. I'm the introduction to law teacher, and I'm also the guest speaker in their internship classes. So that's a lot of fun because we just kind of tie everything we've learned over the course of our training together and wrap it up in a pretty nice bow. And I am very active, as Lisa had said earlier, in the legal community, but even beyond that. So yes, I'm involved with the national, state, and local paralegal associations, trade associations. For those of you who are looking to get experience, this is a great way to network and get experience, and experience even outside of legal experience. These are some of the things that we're going to talk about today as well. How do you make yourself marketable? Because we are here talking about what? Job hunting in the legal arena. And what's so great about Emily and myself is we are in the legal arena. That is where our experience is. Who here on this call, did anyone fall out of the womb knowing that they were going to be a lawyer or a paralegal? Not me. I didn't know. Did you, Emily? Did you fall out of the womb knowing that you were going to be a paralegal?
I did not. My mother told me from a young age that I argued like a lawyer, but I did not know.
So it's a discovery for many of us, right? It's a journey to finding out who we are. And this is why I like to speak with Emily again, because we are both coaches. So what's really important about job hunting, I want to actually take that a little bit further and really find your purpose and your career. Because, my hope for all of you attending today is that you don't find a job where you can clock in, clock out, I'm hoping that you find your life's work, your life's purpose. And I tell this to my introduction to law students. I say, did you know with your skills, you can change the world? I promise you, once you become abundantly clear about who you are and your why, you can change the world. What do I mean by that? I'm a paralegal by training, right? But let me share with you some of the opportunities that you didn't see from this slide here, right? Because this is my professional lowdown, right? This is everything that I do, but that's not me as a human being. Who am I, authentically and purposefully? I am someone who, my dad, God rest his soul, he passed away, but he used to call me a professional volunteer and a professional student. And he's right. He's absolutely right, because my heart brought me into this profession. When I was 16 years old, Emily, I don't know if I've ever told you this story. My mother, I told her, and I had a tiger mom, Xena, like the warrior princess, thank you very much. I told her, Mama, I want to be a civil rights attorney. And you know what she did? She's an immigrant. And she came to this country with $200 in her pocket, a college degree, and a dream, not knowing anyone. And this was her English was her second language. And when I told her I wanted to be a civil rights attorney, she looked at me and she went, no. She's like, you're going to be poor. You need to have a stable job. You're going into medicine. And guess who paid for my bachelor's degree? Mama. And what happened? I went and pursued, I was supposed to be a physical therapist. That's what I was studying, actually, for my master's in physical therapy. And I, by the universe, the grace of the universe, got redirected because my mother was a small business owner. She started a business when my sister and I went to college, and she fell ill, and I had to move back because I was already out of town going to school for my bachelor's degree. And I had to move back and take care of her small business at the age of 21. I became the head of the business. And with that, I didn't have any paralegal schools at that time, or excuse me, I didn't have any physical therapy schools at that time in San Diego that I could attend to further my master's degree. So then I looked around and I thought to myself, what if maybe I don't want to fully commit to law school, because, I'm not sure. I said when I was 16, I wanted to be a civil rights attorney, but I'm not really sure because that wasn't what I was pursuing in my higher education. So I found paralegal school and I went through it, and it was a game changer. You know how they say sometimes your career finds you? That's kind of what happened to me. It really lit me up again. The fire inside was burning because I knew that with my skills, not only was I a better business owner, because I learned how to research and I understood like contracts and how things worked, just generally, but it made me a better business owner. But it also helped me to pursue my path in the law. And I started, as many of us who are on this call today, I know, said they are not working. Many are administrative or clerical folks. I started off as a file clerk in this very law firm where I sit today. And I had zero legal experience. I was working at a design firm in downtown San Diego whilst I was getting my paralegal training. And once I finished, I went through the classified ads, and I'm the one-off, Emily. I'm the one-off. I went through the classified ads back in the day in the newspaper, by the way, in the newspaper, and I applied for this job, knowing that I had no experience, but hoping that they would take a chance on me, and they did. And within 6 months, I was promoted to legal assistant, and then the trajectory from there was paralegal. Now I'm senior paralegal and business development director. And guess what, folks? That did not even exist in this law firm. That title didn't even exist in this law firm, business development director. I actually created the position for myself because of my training, my transferable skills from being a small business owner and operator. So I actually leveraged many of my skills to get me the job that I have today. I also like to talk to people about this. I'm going to show it just very briefly because there's something that, I have many people that I present with at national conferences, and we talk about workforce readiness a lot because we brainstorm about what is it that employers really want, because there seems to be a little bit of a gap from, the substantive training of law school or paralegal school into the practical day-to-day, real-time working, bridging that gap. So I like to show this because there can be an intersection of finding your purpose and doing the work to support yourself, right? So I love how this, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it's called the chart of consciousness. And it shows people who are the happiest. What are they doing? They're serving others. They're making a difference. They have that internal cohesion, meaning the inside matches what's happening as an expression of the outside, right? So when we can fine tune what it is that we really want to do, what it is that we want to express as our purpose and our being in this one, because there is no do-over button, is there, Emily? There's no do-over button in life, right? So make it count. Make sure that you are abundantly clear about who you are and your why. And I love this quote. Everyone says they know me for saying this quote. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Change requires that, right? Change requires you to be uncomfortable. And we are in the midst of a radical shift. We've been doing this for a year, folks, over a year now, right? We've been living in this virtual environment. Expectations, employer expectations are different now, right? There's maybe more added to our plates. We have to now, I had to suddenly learn how to be a virtual teacher, instructor with the University of San Diego. I had never done that before, but guess what? I dug deep. I really went and I leaned in to my skills of agility, right? And being very flexible in the way that I approach things and creative, right? So I really leaned into those skill sets that I learned from being a small business owner into my law firm life, into this situation we find ourselves in today. What is required? Innovation, agility, collaboration, efficiency. These are the words that employers today are looking for. If you do not resonate with these, these words that I have just said, take a long, deep, hard look on how you can acquire skills that will help you to be efficient, that will help you to be innovative, to be agile. What do I mean by that? Let's talk about entrepreneurship, right? Here I am talking about me being an entrepreneur. But what is an intrapreneur? An intrapreneur is really a person exhibiting the characteristics of an entrepreneur in an office, within the four walls of an office. Or in other words, are you a good firm citizen? Are you a good corporate citizen? Are you someone that promotes your brand? Are you a brand ambassador in the community when you are out there networking? And when you are speaking in the community or writing articles, maybe, these are ways to get your name and branding out there. And we're going to talk about that. But where are we? Let me just put this out there because this struggle is real. There is a significant underutilization of paralegals. Significant. Meaning the skills and the training that we have as paralegals is really not leveraged well in the law firm environment and sometimes in the corporate environment, but more so in the law firm environment. What do I mean by that? Many of us come in with this magical 2 years. Have you heard of this, Emily, where new law graduates or new paralegal students, new people, new legal professionals without any experience, they say, what gives? All of these job, descriptions say at least 2 to 5 years of experience. I'm new. I have none. What do you tell them, Emily?
We tell them apply anyways. We tell them a couple of things. Apply, because you're right, there are a lot of jobs that say that, and there are not a lot of jobs that say we want 0 experience. And 2, we also remind them of the training they do have, of the experience they have from their school years. They've been working. A lot of them have been doing the same work that an entry level might be doing. So 100% a question that comes up all of the time. I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely, Emily. And then we also have strategies to overcome that as well. Because sometimes you do have to start in with more of an entry-level role, right? Like I did as a file clerk, or sometimes you go do pro bono work, which is what? Free legal services. And that's how we can beef up our legal experience, specifically our legal experience, but do not discount those transferable skills, right? Remember, business development director did not exist in my law firm. That is something that I pulled out of my past experience and my transferable skills in my tool bag and help leverage my position and my pay, right? As a legal professional. So we find ourselves as really kind of divided here in 2 categories, right? Lawyers are really what? Masters of the law, right? They're thinking about the theory, they're thinking about, arguments, and the paralegals, the legal professionals, are the masters of procedure. So we really are the ones who are like, how do we get these documents filed without being rejected? How do I figure out what forms to use? How do I figure out, do I need to schedule a court reporter for this jurisdiction. Oh my goodness, we're in a pandemic and all the courtrooms are closed right now. So how are we doing hearings? It's that kind of nuts and bolts, right? Our lanes are very different as lawyers and as paralegals, right? We have the substantive theory-based folks, the lawyers, and then we have the legal professionals who are really masters of the procedure. So what do employers really want? What do they really want? Well, everything rises and falls on leadership. Have you heard that? Communication is king or queen, and really understanding how to work in a team environment, how to work collaboratively with people, especially in these times during, with this virtual landscape we all find ourselves in. Over communication is almost expected because we don't have I can just pop into the office of my, teammate and we can just hash it out, over the next 5 or 10 minutes over what we're doing as a strategy for this case to advance our case. We don't have the luxury of that anymore. We are all, trying to find new ways to communicate and to do our work and to work collaboratively with our team members. So communication. And also I'd like to bring this up, especially for those who are on the job hunt, because when you are advocating for yourself, in terms of pay or compensation, because it's not always, the hourly rate or the base salary. Remember, compensation is a total package that includes things like, obviously, your benefits, your health benefits. It can also include things like what I enjoy. I have a flexible schedule. I can work from home, and this is probably something that, I hopefully will be able to negotiate, because law firms are seeing that, wow, we can actually get the work done and be virtual and work remotely. So what else are employers looking for? The bottom line. They're looking for efficiency. They're looking for, how are you adding value into our law firm, into our environment, into our culture? Are you being resourceful? Are you being agile? Technical skills. And I'm going to get into this a little bit more because efficiency is so important right now. And we kind of frame that in these terms, in project management. So I'm not sure if anyone on today's webinar is familiar with the project management process, but these are the 5 areas that I really encourage people to integrate into their job hunting, and also into kind of like any process where you are managing an endpoint. If there is a goal that you're trying to manage, if there is a project you're trying to manage, think about these areas. Planning, right? You have to have extraordinary planning skills. Are you organized? Are you able to handle change? What is process improvement but change? Are you a change agent? I am. I have to be. I have to be able to file our cases, because I handle our ERISA litigation department. I have to file our cases all the way from the local superior courts, all the way through the United States Supreme Court. So mostly I'm in federal court, but sometimes I have state cases, sometimes I have appellate cases, and sometimes we go to the Supreme Court. Yeah, so I have to be extremely agile and be very flexible in my being a change agent. People, right? Working with others. This is so important. Project management, again, being able to identify what are the outcomes, objectives that we're trying to do here. Like, apply this to your job hunting. What are the jobs that are out there that I want? Emily did a fantastic job in kind of guiding you all on how to be specific, to tailor, right, your applications to the employers you really want to work for. Guess what, folks? I don't know what the stats are for lawyers, Emily, maybe you do, but for paralegals, the Bureau of Labor Statistics is reporting at least 12% growth over the next 5 years in our industry.
I just want to step in here and quickly say, despite the pandemic over the past year, which of course freaked all of us out in terms of employment numbers, and I actually do our employment statistics, our post-grad employment statistics for USD. I can't tell you exactly what they are because we're putting those numbers out soon, but they're looking good. So just want to follow up on that. Lawyers are busy. The legal field is busy right now. Paralegals are busy. I also wanted to jump in, Kristine, and we have 2 questions.
Oh, yeah.
One, though, I think is related to something that you recently mentioned. You said over communication is what's expected right now. So I have had a lot of clients, I've heard it time and time again. People are like having a lot of anxiety. I don't know where I stand with my new boss, who I don't ever see, and I rarely talk to.
Yes.
It is hard working remotely. So the question here is, do you have any advice about taking a position that is remote? It seems scary to learn a new job from home without colleagues to turn to and ask questions.
That is a great question, because that is a reality for so many of us right now, right, Emily?
Yes.
First of all, again, communication is king. I would definitely say apply these concepts that we are going over right now to what you are experiencing. Manage that process, right? Manage that process. You have to make sure, if you want clear, schedule some time with your attorney and say, hey, I would really like to do a fantastic job here. I want to be a valuable member of this team. Could you give me some of your expectations? Take diligent notes. Like Emily speaking, I'm taking notes, a page of notes, right? I never go anywhere without taking my notepad and a pen, because I'm constantly note taking so that I can, quickly access information that I may need later. But definitely set some time aside with that employer and say, look, I want to, and even people who are managing or supervising you, and make sure you get clear expectations delineated for you. Right? And then you project plan the heck out of it. Is there a timeline? Are there performance metrics? See, this is the last point that we're talking about here on the screen. Performance metrics, because I like to, and I'm sure Emily does too, make data-driven decisions. And most employers do too. So when you are find yourself in a situation where it's, a little bit scary, and, you don't have the team around you to kind of guide you, that is okay. That is okay. But make sure you communicate with your supervisor, with your supervising attorney, with partners, whoever you're working with, that you really need clear guidance as to what the expectations are. Also, make sure if it's not already set up, if the supervising paralegal, supervising attorney has not already set up, regular meetings, that is put in place, because you have to operate as a unit. So I would definitely encourage, and that really goes, again, harkens back to the communication is king, right, Emily? Do you have any other suggestions too, Emily?
Yeah, just to add on to that, or continue with it. So I've developed this framework. I call it the 4 dimensions of yourself, crucial for career confidence, success, and leadership. The last one is self-advocacy. And this is exactly why. You can know who you are, you can know what you want, you could be taking care of yourself, but if you're not going out there and getting what you need and tapping into your resources, you're going to be sitting back hoping that things fall in your lap. It's going to be a tough road. Okay. Especially early on, and especially during a pandemic when we're working remotely. So I love this idea of self-advocacy. I've had a lot of these conversations lately where people are like, my partner's not meeting with me. They're not giving me a framework. They're not giving me deadlines. I have this pro bono case and I put it off for a year and I have no accountability and no one cares if it gets done. I'm like, okay, well, you care. So what can you do to make sure it gets done? Well, if I need accountability from someone else, okay, great, let's stop there. How can you get that accountability? I guess I could ask for those check-ins that Kristine is referencing. So don't sit back and wait, because everyone's busy and you're a little bit more out of sight, out of mind now when we are working remotely. So go out there, be proactive, get what you need, speak up respectfully, of course. It's tough. It's a lot of energy, but it's way better to do it yourself, be proactive, than to sit back, wait, hope, and not know whether it's ever going to come to you.
Perfect. And so I hope that answers that person's question. Was there another one, Emily, that you had mentioned?
There was another one, and this was a great question as well. It was for either panelist. You both are great. Thank you. Are there any cultural practices in these areas unique to San Diego compared to, say, the East Coast or the Midwest in the legal profession industry? Asking because I'm relatively new to San Diego. I noticed that the pace of life here is a bit slower than Chicago, DC, where I came from. I'm wondering how that comes into play in networking, career building practices in this space.
That's a great observation, right, Emily? He's totally right. I was going to actually say that we're not a big city because we're we're a small, big city, San Diego.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments about?
Yeah, really quickly. My main thought or response here is when you are in the job search process, formal. It's always better to go formal. Very few firms, which you should get the vibe from the beginning, so you should know anyways, but very few firms are going to say, I'm not going to hire that person because they're wearing a suit to their interview. I just can't imagine in the legal industry. Okay. So we do have a few, like literally surfer firms, I would call them. I know a firm that's in Bird Rock that installed a shower because one of their partners is surfing every morning and he needed to, shower before he comes into the office. So that exists, but by and large, you can't go wrong by being formal business. So the same kind of thing you would wear in DC or Chicago, wear it in an interview, same formalities with cover letters, networking, use those. And then once you get into the job, that's when you notice what everyone else is doing. And the office dictates the level of professionalism or decorum, attire, that kind of thing. That's my advice. Always err on the side of a little bit more formal. And then once you're in, then you pay attention to what everyone else is doing.
That's so funny, Emily, because that's a great question. Absolutely. And I think that's fabulous advice. And it's like it's almost like we planted that question because the next topic is your brand. But absolutely, yes, please. That saying, suit up and show up, literally. Like really, seriously, just I would rather have overdressed than underdressed, so absolutely. Even like when you're doing remote interviews and things of that nature, just dress for the part that you envision you see yourself in, right? And I go back to what Emily said about your why, and as career coaches, this is something that's really important to the process of job hunting, and career satisfaction and workforce readiness. Because when you love what you do, you're going to seek additional training and education. You're going to seek other people who are like you, birds of a feather flock together. You're going to find people who are, your people, and you're going to network with them and learn and advance, whatever issue or topic it is. I also serve as a commissioner for the city of San Diego. I was appointed by the mayor of the city of San Diego, and I chair the commission for the Citizens Equal Opportunity Commission, and I focus on supplier diversity for people who are contracting with the city of San Diego. Why? Because diversity, equity, and inclusion are important to me. And in my spare time, whatever I do have, that area of focus that I love so dearly and is so near and dear to me, especially empowering women in elected positions, women in business, women in law. This is absolutely an area where I give my time. And I have made so many connections with those opportunities. So never discount that. Develop, and I love to tell people, develop a career development plan. If you don't have one, start one. Look down the road. Where there is vision, there is life. Where there is vision, there is life. So make sure you develop your 6-month, 1 year, 5-year, checkpoints. Do the work that Emily suggests to you. Who do I want to work for? Who do I want to be around? Who do I want? We have phenomenal lawyers and law firms in this region. Phenomenal. And we are known for being like the biotech, biopharma. We are like innovation city here. We're like the mini San Jose, Silicon Valley, right? So there are phenomenal lawyers and entrepreneurs in this area. So think about that when you're developing your career development plan. Look for coaches, career advocates, and mentors. Those folks have blasted doors open for me in my 16-year career. I would never have been able to access the opportunities that I have accessed and had the privilege and honor to have those opportunities without people who helped me. They helped me find those positions. They helped me find those opportunities. Do you have a comment, Emily?
I just wanted to chime in. Every job I got in the legal field in San Diego came from someone I knew. Every single one. So I graduated without a job in the last recession in 2010. That was a rough year. And I moved down to San Diego. So I was not local. And I started networking with my alumni association. I got my first volunteer position that way, then some part-time work, then a permanent job, a fabulous permanent job. And then I got into USD that way. I worked in the nonprofit sector in anti-bias education programming for a little bit that way. I'm coaching because of mentors that I've had. So just, I can't emphasize it enough. I know Kristine is doing a great job too with that, but it is everything once you're out in the workforce.
It is. Oh my goodness, Emily, it really is. Informational interviews, as Emily said, this is a great way to expand your network. And I always tell people at the end of your informational interview, just ask this question: is there anyone else that you think I should talk to? And may I use your name as a reference? Because likely those awesome people hang out with other awesome people. And, you know, one of the stories, and I'm mindful of time here, we're about 3 minutes before we wrap up, but I helped someone who was a very new paralegal over the years, and currently she enjoys the position of being employee relations manager at Walt Disney Company. So I was able to help her manage that process from being a litigation paralegal in a law firm, a private law firm, a small private law firm in San Diego, all the way to a multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporation, her ideal company that she wanted to work for. So this is possible. It is possible when you do the work and when you are clear. Evaluate and refine your plans. Attend the networking events regularly. If you're shy, find strategies. When we open up and we start going in person again, go with a buddy. But don't stick at the hip with those people. You know, when you get there, make sure you make a goal to meet 3, 4, 5 new people, right? If you're on a virtual platform, if there's chatting going on, make sure you drop in your, be ready, right? Drop in your LinkedIn, say connect with me. I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. And bar events, right? Bar association events, so many opportunities like today for invaluable free education, certifications. You know, I'm going to let you read this. And if you need the slides, contact the law library. They can send these to you. They have them. So certifications, very important, especially for legal professionals. You know, we want to be able to set ourselves apart from the rest of the pack, right? How do I do that? I'm showing that I'm doing voluntary competency examinations and certifications. Pro bono work. Again, if you don't have experience, go do pro bono work, volunteer. Yes, we are closed down right now, but you know, if you have some special skills, such as you're bilingual, or that you have a passion for helping people who are, you know, maybe experiencing domestic violence. I have been working on my pet project for human trafficking and been coordinating many events related to that. And as a recent result of what's happening with these hate crimes, I've been working closely with the DA's office on that as well, because that's important to me. You know, that impacts me directly. So think about ways that you can really leverage those skills. And attitude, I cannot express this enough. Attitude is everything. I tell my students this: if you're a no, everything in life is a no. If you have that attitude of I can't, or defeated, or this, that's, I guarantee you, that's the only thing I can guarantee for you. If you are a no in life, everything in life is going to be a no. So attitude, make sure you check your attitude. Make sure you're able to function well and collaborate with people, right? Work on those communication skills. Network. How? Find your trade associations. That's one of the best ways, because who knows where the jobs are? People like me, people like Emily. I can't even tell you, like probably on a daily basis, I have people contacting me for referrals, either for attorneys. I recently helped an attorney get a job at a law firm of someone I know. People looking for, you know, legal support staff, constantly, almost on a daily basis. So network with people who are in the profession. They know where the jobs are. Again, as Emily had said, you know, leverage your social media. There's Clubhouse. Have you been on that yet? That's so cool. If you haven't, they're still in beta phase right now, beta testing, but it's pretty cool. You're almost like a fly on the wall listening in on some pretty cool conversations. But make sure you're professional and you're prepared, right? So that you have a nice headshot. It doesn't have to be fancy, you know, but make sure you take it in a way that is professional, right? You have professional attire, you look professional. Make sure you lean back into your law schools, your paralegal schools, your classmates, study groups, former employers, anywhere you volunteer, other clubs. You never know. You never know who you're going to meet. And make sure you surround yourself with folks that you want to be like. And never forget, you're always going to be learning, right? Even when you're in that new job. Take the habit of lifelong learning. If you need to contact me, you can find out what I'm up to on my website, KristineCustodio.com. You please email me. Please reach out to us. Emily, do you want to type in your email address again so that people can contact you and your email,
Sure thing.
your website as well?
And then we've got, while I'm doing that, one more question. Thank you for this wonderful presentation today. You're welcome. I often apply for paralegal jobs and have not been called for any interview with major law firms. I do notice that I meet the minimum requirements, but sometimes not at all. Should I still apply? And how can I compensate for not meeting all of the requirements?
So I actually have a comment while you're typing, Emily. If you are on LinkedIn, search for people who are in that company, do informational interviews, try to get a connection and see if you can talk to people who are in that position and ask them, what do you think I can do to increase my marketability? I have a desire to work with this prestigious law firm because XYZ, like Emily said, right? Know your why. List why you want to work there. Be able to have and this is another thing we didn't really talk about today, but your elevator pitch, right? What is that short soundbite that describes who you are, right? I'm an educator. I am a change agent. I'm a paralegal. I know exactly who I am. You need to be able to have that pitch ready for when the opportunity meets. What does Queen Oprah say? When preparation and opportunity intersect, bam, success, right? Okay, so what are the other questions today? Because we're a little over time and I want to respect people's lunch.
That was our only other one. And I just want to be explicitly clear. The idea here is, I call these resume hurdles. If you don't have all the qualifications on your resume, or like most of us, there's something a little funky on our resume, right? Maybe your grades are low and you're worried about that, or you've been out of work. That is why meeting people like Kristine is suggesting is so valuable. To have people in your corner, advocates, sponsors, we call them sometimes, pushing your resume for you, that can help get over that. Just wanted to be clear about that.
So while you two have been talking, I've just been nodding my head, yes, 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 because all of these things you're saying, I agree with so much. I just wanted to squeeze in at the last minute and make a pitch for the law library profession as part of the legal field. I know we didn't talk about that specifically, but that's another way you can use your legal skills as a JD or a paralegal. There are jobs in the library field that are looking for people with your skills. And so don't discount that as a possibility. If that sounds interesting to you, I'm happy to chit-chat with anyone who wants to do an informational interview, which I believe in that as well. People like to talk about what they do, and I've certainly been willing to chat with people who've contacted me who are in library school or who are interested in library jobs. And so, yeah, I just really agree with everything you're saying about making those contacts is a good way to find out what's going on and to get advice. And also the associations. We have a local law library association in San Diego called SANDAL, SANDALL. You can find our website at San Diego Area Law Libraries. If you want to know a little bit more about, just wanted to plant that as a seed as another possible opportunity for some of you that might be looking for something interesting to do that's, I believe, ticks that box of public service. That's a really, really rewarding way to use legal skills. So thank you for letting me make my elevator pitch about law librarianship. It's been a really good experience for me.
And Lisa's great, everyone. Take her up on that. And thank you.
I actually had someone who reached out to me from paralegal, someone who went to my paralegal school and eventually went to the law library.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yes,
well, thank you, Lisa.
Yes, absolutely. I remember, I know who you're talking about, and I met her, and then she came to our open house, and I met her again. I met her at the job hunting class, and I met her at our open house, and she ended up working for us part-time. And we knew who she was when she applied because we'd met her. So again, making those even brief contacts really made a difference.
Gosh, Lisa, did we pay you to say that? But never discount the power of networking. Relationship building, folks. Exactly. Have a fantastic day. It was a pleasure and honor.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Contact us. Please link in with us.
Thank you too so much. And thank you for everyone who joined us. And again, if you could take a minute to take our survey, we'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.